We have about 30 minutes today, so not enough time to really dive all the way into Portfolio, but I think that we will be able to cover enough information about Adobe Portfolio that you will all leave here feeling very capable to create your own portfolio, start sharing content, telling your story, and use this as a tool to help you in your everyday work, whether that's for academics, for your classrooms, or for professional use. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn my camera off so you don't have to watch me. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to do 1 or 2 slides really quickly, and then I'm going to hop over to a browser so we can actually dive into the tool. If you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me or comment in the meeting chat, and I'll address this at the end of the PowerPoint presentation. I actually dropped some content, some information here, so I have my email address if you'd like to reach out to me. This tool is supported by OIT's Center for Instructional Technology, so I commented that email address there. I also shared an Adobe Portfolio Getting Started for Beginners guide, and then the 3 slides that I'm going to cover today that has 2 links to different examples and things that might be a helpful resource for you. Adobe Portfolio is unlike Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator in that you do not need to be a designer to use this tool. This tool was created with creatives in mind, with the hopes that it would be a platform that you can share content very easily via the internet so your work can be showcased in other places. This tool was quickly adapted to the use of other professionals, not just photographers, not just designers, and that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, first really quick slide. Think of your portfolio as a visual archive of your accomplishments to supplement your resume or your CV. This is a really great tool for presentations. This is a great tool if you're trying to land a new job or if you need to promote yourself or a project that you've worked on. We've had students and other professionals use this tool just to showcase research or a specific project. This is something that you can do without having to request a domain from CIT or know how to use WordPress. This is your tool to use. All faculty, staff, and students have access to this tool and the ability to publish these sites online so that they are live, as long as you're using your UA credentials the same way you would for any other Adobe tool. I want to quickly show you a couple of examples. So Adobe has a really great website that shows you professional examples where other creatives have used this tool to share their work. So if you can see here, this is a website we all can go to. It's just portfolio.adobe.com/examples. And this is going to show you all the examples of the portfolios that you can create. Again, a lot of these are going to be for graphic designers, photographers, but they can be used for all types of content. This tool is very easy to use. I always like to say that it can be, your websites can be as beautiful or as simple as you would like. Some of these examples you can see are really graphic. This is probably this person's work, but these websites do have subpages and main pages, so you can add as much content as you would like. There's no limitations on the number of pages, the number of content items that you can add to your site. So this is a really, really great example. You do not have to know HTML coding to build these sites. It is not even drop and drag. It's click a button, add your content, boom, there it is. You can add images, videos, links to other content. This is very image heavy, but you can add text. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint presentation now. And what I want to do now is show you an example of a student who has used Portfolio to showcase their work. Now, this is going to look very different from the example I just showed you because the student is not a graphic designer. The student uses this tool to get a job done to showcase their work. This is Alana Reckley. You can see her site has a nice picture of her, and then it has a little blurb about her site, and then you can enter her website. And you can see she has main pages, sub pages. The navigation is still very similar, so you can go through the different topics that she wants to share with her audience. From here, when you click on a page, there's a little bit of information about her education. She uploaded a lot of images, but I love to use this example because Alana's a great student, but she's not a designer. She's not a web editor. She used this site to showcase her content, and it was super easy for her to use, is from what she told me. And this is just a great example of how a student has utilized this tool. So since I'm online, I'm going to go ahead and show you all how to get started with Adobe Portfolio. We're going to walk through the process of logging in. I'm going to introduce you to pick in templates, and we're going to tinker with a little bit of the tool. Again, not go too far into it. And then we're going to talk about how you publish your site, how you can manage some of the settings. And most importantly, I want to talk about what happens to your site when you leave UA and you lose your license to Adobe Portfolio and all the other Adobe tools. To get started, it's really easy. You're just going to go to portfolio.adobe.com. Now, this landing page is really important, this next step. If you click on Get Started, Adobe Portfolio is going to ask you if you want to sign up for a free account. We do not need to do that. A, because their free account doesn't have the paid options that's going to allow you to publish your site. We want to log in with our UA credentials. So it's very important to remember to click on Sign In. When we click on Sign In, we're going to log in just as you would to Adobe Express. It should prompt you single sign-on through My Bama. And then you are in your portfolio site. If this is your first time logging into Portfolio, the next page that you see is going to be very different from my page. When you log in for the first time, you're going to be prompted automatically to start a website. We'll go to that step, but first I want to explain to you what you're seeing. With Adobe Portfolio, you have the access through UA to publish up to 5 sites. All those sites can be published at the same time. You have the ability to go in and edit each of those sites while they are live and republish them again. So you can have sites for multiple things. You can have a professional site, you can have a site showcasing a program that you're working on or any type of work that you're doing, but all 5 of those sites are for you to use and to publish. At any point, you could go in and you could delete the site. You also could unpublish it. So you can have sites that are unpublished, but they're still there for you to work on, or you can delete them completely. You see that I already have 5 here, so I have to actually delete a site to start a new one. So what I'm going to do is just click on this ellipses icon here, delete the site. Do I want to delete it? Confirm deletion. Yes. Now I have 4 sites and I can create a new site. This is important. Something that I always like to tell people whenever I talk about Portfolio is kind of have what I call a trash site. A site that you can go in and you can try out text, you can try out fonts, you can change layouts. So you're not having to make edits to a site that's published, but you have a workspace, like a dev site that you can go in and try out things and see if they work or they look right. From my experience, that's just a better practice than trying to do that in a site that's already published. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this new site icon here. So if it's your first time logging into Portfolio, this is actually the screen that you're going to see. The way Portfolio works is that there are pre-made templates that anyone who has access to Portfolio has access to start building their site. Now, unfortunately, we can't upload a UA template. These are just the templates we have access to, but all of these templates are very customizable. You can see that they take different approaches to the type of work that you're wanting to present. Obviously here, this Ludwig, this is going to be very image heavy, and this might not be a great option if you're trying to tell a story or use a lot of text and context to what you're trying to share. But all of these sites have very similar features. They look different, but they're all going to have a menu. They're all going to have a landing page that's going to be image heavy that links to subpages. It's just a matter of the layout. So lots of different things. For today's purpose, I'm just going to pick this Mercedes theme. For me, this is just the easiest template to work with to kind of show the different pieces. So we're going to choose that. Once you pick a theme or a template, Portfolio is going to show you an example of what this looks like. It's also going to give you the ability to preview this in tablet or phone mode. This is important if you think about how you want your users to see your content. I'm going to click on Use this theme. And then it's going to take me to my website editor. The first time I logged into this tool, it felt very foreign to me. It is not like WordPress where you're actually working on a page from what feels like behind the scenes, and then you have to make it live. This is very much a live editor. So as you navigate through your menu here on the left side, you're always going to see a preview of your page. There is no kind of go in the backside, do something and view it. You're working in a view. This menu is really important. We're going to spend some time kind of talking about what the different sections are and how this menu will change as you navigate through your site. I do want to mention that you can edit the site directly onto the page by hovering and clicking on these blue icons here, these tabs. This is going to take you to different sections, or you can work from the menu. I'm going to try to work from the menu today, but there might be moments where I'm just going to click on this blue header, but know that anything that I'm doing here, you also can find here in this menu. Okay, let's talk about this menu. There's always going to be 4 sections viewable on your menu as you navigate through your different pages, but some of them are going to change. The first is this essentials section that is going to be accessible on any page that you're editing. This essentials section has links to access your pages. I'm going to click on that. These are the pages we have now. All of our pages come stocked with a work page and a contact page, but you can edit that. I'm going to click back. An integrations panel, if you want to integrate this with other Adobe tools. Themes, you can actually change the theme of your website at any point of its creation. Portfolio is a very smart and intuitive tool. So if you change your theme, the look of your site will change, but the content will not, it will not be impacted. There won't be any weird text. There's no HTML that you're messing with, so you're not going to have to worry about the fonts are not looking right. Everything will change, but you can change that at any point in the creation or even after your site's been published. It's very easy. And then settings, we'll talk about this last because there are some settings that we need to be familiar with. The next section you see here, it's called your site-wide editor. This is where you're going to make changes to content that impacts your entire site. It is important to note that if you're making edits to header fonts, body fonts, colors of links, you can do that on individual pages, but a best practice is that you do that here. So I try to make myself go to like backgrounds, colors, and fonts. That will impact my entire site. You can see how easily I can switch to a different color scheme, light or dark. I can change my font size here. I also can add fonts from our Adobe font book. So if you're interested in uploading new fonts, you can go to adobefonts.com, install a font family. It'll be available here. The background of your site here is white. You actually can change that on your site-wide options. So you can upload an image. Those images, you have different options. You can fix positions and different things. This is the background. Or I can change the color here. I'm going to make some changes to this site while we're talking. I cannot promise you that this site is going to be pretty when we're done, but we're going to change the colors. So here, I'm just going to try to do a UA red. Right, so now the background of my site color has changed. Let's go back. Website container. This is how big your margins are on your site. So again, totally editable. Whenever you look at the examples of Portfolio, you're going to see some things that you're like, I don't see that template. It's just because someone has went in and spent time editing their template. I want to make note that if you've noticed, as I click on items from this menu, I'm not taken to a different screen. The menu just changes. Now, this can be confusing sometimes, but this is the only thing on your page that is going to move as far as navigation goes to different editing tools. Again, you're always going to have a preview of the page you're on. The next section here in your site-wide menu is this header, logo, navigation, and footer. Now, these are the places that I can navigate to directly on the page. If I click here on header, it takes me to the same menu as if I click here, right? So this is where I'm going to make edits to my header. I can change the width, how much space is available. I can upload a background image, or I can just change the color. I'm going to upload an image here. Let's do this one. So it's uploaded. There's some options. You can actually change the alignment. You can have it repeat in a tile, or you can have it cover as much content area as possible. And this is where you have to kind of start playing with this top bottom margins. The only thing that is frustrating about Adobe Portfolio is there are no photo editors built into the tool. So whatever size you upload an image as, that's the size that's going to appear on the page. So you have to be careful when you're working with uploading smaller images into your header. If you wanted to do a logo, which we'll do, you have to make sure that image is pretty small before you upload it. You can't move the image around once it's there. You can only change the spaces around it, if that makes sense. You notice at any point, if I wanted to undo what I've currently done, I can do that. There also is a redo button once you start making multiple edits. I want to note that this is an auto-saved tool. So your site will not publish until you click Publish Site, but anything that you're doing, that is saved in your workspace. So if you are planning on trying new things out, that's why you'd want to use that dev site. Because sometimes I've had people go in and they're like, oh my gosh, I changed the font and I can't get to go back. Well, it's because it auto saved. So let's make sure we're pretty okay with the changes we're making as we're building this. All right, let's go back. You see here we have header. You can't see this text anymore, but where your name is autofill, this will be auto-populated from whatever is listed in my Bama for you. This is the logo area. I can actually click on logo, click into site name logo. I can change that name or I can upload an image. I'm going to upload an image. I'm using a Barefield image here. So I can upload a logo there. There's some different things you can do with this. You can roll over your logo so you can have a secondary image. You can make this image responsive. So there's lots of details that you can really dive into. Let's go back. That's my logo. Other things that you can edit, but I would say just go in and play around. Your navigation. So when we talk about pages, your navigation is built based on the pages that you've created and that you have made live and they're not hidden. So whenever we talk about navigation here in the site-wide menu, this is just editing the look of your navigation and what you want visible in your navigation. So we do have the option to edit my navigation container. So I can do a couple of things with that. I can change the mobile icons, colors. I can change page title color. So if I wanted the pages listed as a different color, the rollover, the active. So you can see here, I can change this to where if the page is active, it's going to show up in bright green. Not a very accessible color, but just wanted you guys to see all the things that you can do with your navigation. So this is just editing the look of my navigation. Also have the ability to edit my footer. All of these footers come pre-built with this Powered by Adobe Portfolio. You do have the ability to go in and change that. Now, a lot of us are just going to use text. Maybe I'll say this is my site. But if I did know a little bit of HTML, it'll teach you some things here. I could actually go in and add some links and different things if I needed to, but I can change the color, the font, the orientation of my footer. So if you notice these little toggle icons here beside these sections, this is important. This is how you can turn headers or logos off. So it doesn't mean that I've deleted them. It just means that I don't want them visible. You also can turn off navigation if you want. So anytime you see a toggle in this menu, that just means you're turning that option off. It's not visible, but it's still there. You're not losing any of the work that you have done to create those things the way that you would like them. The next section here that says this collection, we're working a little backwards. I'll tell you what a collection versus a page is, but this section is going to change in your menu based on what page you are on. So this section is where you're editing specifically items on the page that you are looking at. So these are called page covers. These boxes have what we call page covers. You can add images to your page cover by clicking here, or Portfolio will auto populate these page covers based on the first image you put on a page. So we will do that. But right now I'm just going to show you how to add a page cover. Click page. I'm going to call this page my work. Destination. We're going to talk about pages more, so this will make sense in just a bit. But it's asking you, do you want this page to be a subpage essentially of something else? I'm just going to call it a subpage of work. Create the page. It's going to take me to that page. Yay, I just created a page. And I'm going to go back. Oh, I'm so sorry. That is not what I wanted to do. User error, my apologies. Okay, back on my home page. When I get back to my home page where I added that new page, it's going to ask me if I want to upload a cover, and I can do that. I can upload a cover. Spring stock. The image was too large. Let's try a different image. That one was too large too. There we go. We'll just use the same image. It might take a minute for it to show up, but it will show up there as your image. You also can add a different response to whenever you roll over these sections. You can add a secondary image. So when you roll over it, it's going to show a second image. And my apologies for it taking a minute to upload, but it will show up. All right. So again, this section is going to change based on the page that you're on. We'll come back to these page covers and talk a little bit more about those whenever we talk about what a collections page actually is. But I just want you to know that this section changes. And then this is another section that's going to apply to every type of page that you're working with. So with that, let's go up here and let's talk about pages. If I click on this pages icon, this is going to show me all the pages that I have built out and added to my Adobe Portfolio site. From here, I can click on this plus sign icon and I can add a new type of page. So these are all the types of pages that I can add to my site. I can create just a custom page. And what a page is going to be a single page, very similar to WordPress if you're familiar, where you can add an image, text, links, buttons, icons, things like that. It's a single page. Your welcome page is going to be that page that we saw on Alana's website. When you went to her page and it was split in half, it had an image of her, it had a button that said enter site. That is a welcome page. You can also sync to Lightroom albums. So if you have an album in Lightroom, you can sync to that album where all those images would be displayed on that page. Then you have what they call a collections page. That collections page is actually the home page that we've been working on. And all that means to me is that is a page that's going to have sub pages, right? So it's like an umbrella page. It's going to be a landing page where I can link to multiple pages. On Alana's website, once we went in, if you notice, she had all of those different images with text that showed up when I hovered over the boxes. That was a collections page. You could have as many collections pages with sub pages as you would like. You can also add a link. So this is not technically a page, but it shows up as a page in my navigation. And that is how I'm going to get a link added to my menu. Before we add a page, I want to talk to you about this section. It's very easy to structure navigation in Portfolio. If you notice these circle icons with the 3 lines in them, if I just click and drop and drag, I can completely organize the navigation here. If you notice this single page icon, that's informing this is a single page. If I see a waffle grid icon, that's informing me that this is a collections page. It's going to have subpages. For each of these pages, you have some settings. You can edit the title. So let's say I don't want this to be contact. I want this to be about me. Right? I also can edit that URL. It did not save that. You have to press enter to save. You can edit the page URL. You can duplicate the page. You also can add a page password. So this is really important if you're using this tool to land a job. There might be pages that you want to be password protected and you want to give someone on the hiring committee or a manager the password to access that site. You can do that. You also can hide pages in navigation. So if you want a page to be searchable or you want to share a URL, but you do not want that to show up in your navigation, you can do that there. You also can set pages as your home page. So as you build out your site, you might want to add that welcome page and set it as your home page, but it's very easy to change that with that feature there. Currently, this work page is my home page. I also can toggle these on or off. So if I do not want this to be a visible page that's searchable, no one can find it, but I don't want to lose it, I just would toggle that off and that page is just there for me to edit and it's not viewable by anyone. So let's go in and add a page really quickly. I'm going to click page and I'm going to call this leadership. If I could spell leadership. So now when we talk about navigation, it makes a little more sense. The only collections page that I have right now is work. But if I wanted to add this under maybe a soft skills collection page or previous experience, I would have to create that collection and then add it there. But for today, I'm just going to add this to work, create my page. It takes me to my leadership page now, and you can see how this page looks different. It's not a collections page. So it's going to have a header here, and then I have the ability to add all this content. We will talk about this content in one moment, but I want to go back to pages. So just as I can move around this navigation on these higher level pages, I can also move things around within my collections page. So the order that shows up here can change. I'm not going to break any links by dropping and dragging any of this. Portfolio is intuitive and fixes all that for me. But I also have the option to do the same things here to these sub pages or single pages as I do this collection page and this other main page. Well, let's talk about the type of content that we can add to a single individual page. As you can see here, there's lots of things that we can add. I'm almost out of time. But you can add images, text, photo grids, Lightroom. You can embed videos, buttons. You can embed some coding. The only thing that you cannot do that's not supported with Portfolio is you cannot upload PDFs or documents and then be saved to a library and then display those onto a page. That is the difference between this tool and something like WordPress or Wix. You would probably need to use UABox or OneDrive to create a public link that you can actually link to like a CV or a resume, and you would add that link through a button or just adding link in a text. So that is a page. That's how you create your pages. Let's go back really quickly to this collections page. As you can see, as soon as I assign that page to be a subpage of a collection, it automatically creates this nice little section for me where I can go in and have this like link to those subpages. Again, lots of things you can do here. You can edit what is visible here by clicking on customize page covers, edit cover image, edit page info. All of these tools under these sections going to edit the content that you see here. I'm going to go back to this leadership page. I'm going to add an image. Let's see if this is not too big. All right, so I added an image here. It's taking a while to upload. But I want to show you what happens whenever I upload this image. I'm going to go back to my work page. And you can see it auto-populates that image there. So instead of me having to add it, it's just going to pull from the first image used on the page. Okay, so much more you can do. I know we're running out of time. I don't want to talk about the settings and how to share your site, but the possibilities are endless. Get creative with this tool. You're really going to benefit from it. If anybody has to hop off, I understand. Let's talk about publishing our site. You're going to click on publish your site when you're ready. This button's going to be there throughout the entire time you're creating your site. You're going to have a URL auto assigned to your site. I'm going to click on view site. You can view my site. Right? Looks great. At any point that you go in and you make edits, you have to click publish site for your site to be live. Let's go really quickly here to the settings. Some settings to know about. Homepage. This is where you can change your homepage. You can add Google Analytics tracking code to get analytics on your site. You can beef up your site with some SEO. So you can change your website title, add some meta description, meta keywords. This is important, especially for our students. You can deselect this and the search engines will not be allowed to index your site, depending on how well you want this to show up in a search. You got a favicon, social sharing thumbnails. You can upload images. Site options, there's some different options here. Password protect, I can password protect my entire site if I would like. Add a cookie banner. Restore website styles. I mentioned that everything is auto-saved, but you can revert back to a last published site. So if I've published my site on Tuesday, by Thursday I've made some terrible edits, I can restore my website to the last published site. I can also unpublish my site. Let's talk really quickly, because again, I'm over. About what do I do whenever I leave UA. So with your UA Creative Cloud license, you have the ability to publish your site live so people can view it and search for it. Now, when you leave UA, you're going to lose access to this license. So what you will need to do is you will need to create a personal Adobe account for free. So you can have a free version of Adobe Portfolio that allows you to build sites, but in order for them to be published, you have to pay for them. Now, Adobe has a special subscription that includes Lightroom, Portfolio, and Photoshop for a I think last time I checked, it was like $11 a month. That you're getting just those tools, and you can publish those sites. But regardless, if you're leaving UA, I would say create a free site. You click on manage your account. And it's going to walk you through the steps of transferring the content from your UA email address account to your personal account. You might not publish it right away. It might take you, 2 months to pay for that subscription, but make sure you're transferring that over. We have some information in CIT's knowledge base about how to do that. You can email them and they can send you those links. Really quickly, last thing I want to talk about is where's my URL? Domain name. So if you click on domain name, you actually can go in and customize your site subdomain. You can do this up to 5 times each of your sites. It will always have the .myportfolio.com at the end, but you can go in and edit that where it just says Victoria Collins or UA, whatever you want it to be. You can purchase a domain through Adobe Portfolio, or you can connect a domain if you already own a domain through a different, a third-party provider.